When my daughter told me she forgave me, I thought I could finally breathe again. After years of walking on eggshells, years of silence and distance, I believed that one sentence meant healing. But sometimes, forgiveness isn't peace. It's preparation. The evening is still clear in my mind, the soft amber light from the dining room lamp, the hum of the refrigerator, and the smell of the roast I'd spent all afternoon seasoning just right. I'd even brought out the old blue plates she used to love as a girl. I wanted everything to feel safe again. Her name is Danielle. She's 30 now, confident, successful, and distant in a way that still surprises me. When she arrived, she looked stunning, neat cream blazer, gold earrings, hair swept back like she was heading to a business meeting, not dinner with her mother. "Mom," she said softly, standing at the door with that polite half smile I'd grown to dread. It wasn't warm. It wasn't cold. Just polite. I hugged her anyway. "You look beautiful, baby." She stiffened for a second, then patted my back once, like a stranger trying to remember old manners. It hurt more than I wanted to admit. We sat down, and for a while, it was easy talk about work, her promotion, a recipe she'd tried from TikTok. I laughed in all the right places. I kept my voice light. Every time she smiled, I pretended not to notice how forced it was. Then, between bites of roasted carrots, she said it. "Mom, I forgive you." Just like that. No build-up. No warning. The fork nearly slipped from my hand. I blinked at her, confused. "Forgive me? For what, sweetheart?" She shrugged, cutting her food carefully, not looking up. "You know, for everything. For how things were after the divorce. For how I felt I had to take care of you, emotionally, when I was still just a kid." There it was. The wound I thought had closed years ago. My throat tightened. I never meant for you to feel that way. I was hurting too. But I always tried to protect you, Danielle. She looked up, eyes calm but sharp, her father's eyes. "I know, and I believe you did what you could. That's why I'm choosing to let go." Choosing. Let go. Those words felt like a liar's verdict, not a daughter's grace. Still, I forced a smile. "That means more than you know, baby. I've prayed for this moment for years." She nodded, smiling faintly. "Good. Then maybe we can finally move forward." When she left that night, she hugged me longer, softer, and I cried after she drove away. Not because of guilt this time, but because, for the first time in decades, I thought maybe my daughter and I could find our way back. The next few weeks felt like a slow sunrise. She started calling again, short, friendly check-ins. "Just saying hi, Mom. You need your recipe for those Sunday biscuits." She even brought over coffee one morning on her way to work, standing on my porch like the little girl who used to run to show me her drawings. I told my sister, Renee, that Danielle was changing. "It's like I got her back," I said over the phone, wiping tears. Renee chuckled. "Honey, sometimes it just takes time. She's been carrying her own version of that pain. You just be patient and grateful." And I was. Every word, every visit felt like a gift. I started cooking more, planting flowers out front, daisies, her favorite. I even started fixing up the guest room, thinking maybe one day she'd come stay a while. That house. I'd bought it after the divorce, small, 2 stories, cream siding, and a porch swing that creaked just enough to make it feel alive. I called it my fresh start. Danielle called it my escape plan. Maybe both were true, but I'd always told her, "This house will be yours one day. Everything I've built, it's for you." She used to smile when I said that as a teen, but as she got older, those smiles faded. I never asked why. Maybe I was scared to know. One Sunday afternoon, she came by again, unannounced, holding 2 cups of coffee. We sat on that porch swing, the air warm and soft. "Mom," she said, "I've been thinking a lot about legacy, about what we leave behind." I smiled, sipping my coffee. "Oh? You getting philosophical on me now?" She laughed. "Maybe. But seriously, you've worked hard for everything you have. The house, your savings. You ever thought about what happens if something happens to you?" I shrugged. "Well, I've got a basic will. The house goes to you naturally." "I mean, who else would it go to?" She looked down at her hands, nodding slowly. "That's sweet, but maybe you should talk to a lawyer soon. You know, make sure everything's up to date." I chuckled. "Oh, you sound like your father now." She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. Just being practical. Later that night, I lay awake replaying that conversation. It wasn't unusual for Danielle to be organized, but something about her tone, that careful calmness, left me uneasy. Still, I brushed it off. She'd just forgiven me. She wouldn't be planning anything cruel. Not my daughter. Not anymore. But I should have listened to that unease. Because forgiveness, as I was about to learn, can be a curtain soft enough to comfort you, heavy enough to hide the truth. A few weeks later, Danielle called and asked if she could stop by again, just to talk. It was a Thursday afternoon. The sun was leaning low, turning my kitchen into gold. I was baking cornbread. The air smelled like butter and nostalgia. When she walked in, she looked preoccupied. Her phone was in her hand, her brows furrowed. She barely smiled. "Sorry, Mom. I've just been so busy, clients, deadlines, lawyers." She stopped herself, catching my look. "Not for me," she added quickly. "For a friend I've just been helping someone sort out estate stuff." I nodded, pretending not to notice how her fingers fidgeted around her coffee cup. "Sounds important work." "Yeah," she murmured, eyes darting to the table where I'd left my old file folder, the one with my house papers, insurance, all that. I always kept it there, in plain sight. My way of being ready. Danielle used to tease me about that. But now, she looked at that folder differently, like it meant something else entirely. Something unspoken hung in the air. After she left, I sat in the quiet, the smell of cooling cornbread filling the kitchen. For a moment, I thought about what forgiveness looks like. Sometimes it's soft words and second chances. Sometimes it's just preparation for goodbye. The next week, a letter came in the mail, plain white envelope, addressed to Ms. Eleanor Hayes. My full name written neatly in print. The return address caught my eye. Martin and Bell, attorneys at law. My stomach dropped. I hadn't contacted any lawyers. Not since my divorce 15 years ago. I opened it carefully, hands trembling a little. Inside was a thin sheet of paper, formal, cold. "Dear Ms. Hayes, we are writing to confirm receipt of documents regarding the revised will of Ms. Danielle Hayes, dated March 3rd. Please note that all property allocations and designations have been updated per her legal request. Kindly acknowledge receipt at your earliest convenience." At first, I thought I'd misread it. Revised will? My daughter's will? But then it hit me, the phrasing. Property allocations and designations. That wasn't about her possessions. That was about mine. I sat down hard at the kitchen table, the paper shaking in my hand. Danielle had been meeting with a lawyer, not for a friend. She'd been updating something about our property. My house. My chest tightened. That house was the only solid thing I had after my marriage fell apart. I'd poured every dollar, every sleepless night, every ounce of faith into it, and I'd promised it would one day be hers. But the idea that she might be changing something without telling me, that she might be taking steps to cut me out, that felt like betrayal in slow motion. That night, I couldn't sleep. The clock on my nightstand ticked so loud it sounded like judgment. I replayed every moment from the past few months. Her sudden forgiveness, her visits, her talk about legacy. Each one felt like a puzzle piece I hadn't noticed before. The next morning, I called the law office, my voice calm, steady. "Good morning, this is Eleanor Hayes. I received a letter regarding a will under my daughter's name, Danielle Hayes. I believe there's been some mistake." The woman on the line paused. "One moment, ma'am." I could hear typing, the faint hum of office chatter. Then, "Yes, I see it here. Danielle Hayes, joint property consultation March 3rd. You're listed as a co-signer on the original file, but not on the new one." My breath caught. "Not on the new one?" "No, ma'am," she said. "It looks like she revised the distribution of the Hayes residence and other assets. Are you requesting a copy of the update?" I froze. My lips parted, but no words came out. "No," I whispered finally. "That won't be necessary." When I hung up, the silence in that house felt heavier than ever. The walls, once symbols of safety, now echoed like a cage. I walked from room to room, touching the frames, the curtains, the furniture. Everything I'd built was tied to her, every nail, every color, every choice. And now she was rewriting the ending to our story. Without me in it. That Sunday, she came over again. This time with wine and a soft smile. "I've missed you, Mom," she said, sitting on the couch. "You've been quiet lately." I wanted to tell her. I wanted to ask why, but I couldn't find the right words that didn't sound like an accusation. So I said, "Just tired." "You know how it is." She nodded, glancing around the living room, the art, the rug, the lamp I'd saved up for. Her eyes lingered a second too long on the framed deed on the wall, the one from when I bought the house. "You've made this place beautiful," she said softly. Her voice trembled, almost with guilt. Or maybe I imagined it. "Thank you, baby. It's home." She smiled, but her eyes looked distant. Yeah, it is. After she left, I sat in the dim living room, listening to the echo of her car pulling away. My hands trembled on my lap. I realized something then, something sharp and cold. Forgiveness doesn't always mean love. Sometimes it's just closure. The kind that comes before someone leaves you behind completely. And I had a feeling my daughter wasn't done leaving. The next few days passed like fog, silent, heavy, and full of something unsaid. I tried to go about my routine, tea at 7, garden at 9, a little reading before bed. But my mind kept circling back to that letter, that will, and Danielle. It wasn't the loss of property that hurt. It was the feeling that she'd been sitting across from me, smiling, lying with her eyes. That Sunday, after church, I stopped by her apartment. She wasn't expecting me. When she opened the door, surprise flickered across her face, just for a second, before she masked it with a polite smile. Mom, I wasn't expecting. I know, I said softly. I just wanted to see you. The living room was spotless, too spotless. Boxes stacked in a corner, papers spread across the dining table. One of the folders caught my eye. Hayes Estate Transition. And there, clipped on top, was my name. I didn't touch it. Didn't need to. The words on the label said enough. She followed my gaze, then quickly gathered the papers into a neat pile. It's not what you think, she said. Her voice trembled. It's just planning, for the future. For our future. Our future? I asked, forcing a calm I didn't feel. Or yours? Silence. Her eyes darted away. Finally, she said, I'm just trying to be smart, Mom. You're not getting any younger. I thought. You thought what? My voice cracked sharp. That you'd take the house before I'm even gone? She flinched, then sighed, rubbing her temples. That's not fair. I've been helping you manage things, your taxes, your paperwork. You asked me to. Yes, I whispered. Because I trusted you. She looked up, tears in her eyes. And you still can, but I couldn't. Not after that letter. That night, I went home and opened the old safe under my bed, the one she didn't know about. Inside was my copy of the house deed, the one with my signature, dated and notarized long before Danielle had even graduated high school. I ran my fingers over the paper, dry, fragile, but still mine. Then I took out a fresh envelope and started writing a letter. Not to her, to my lawyer. If Danielle wanted to play this quietly, so would I. 3 weeks later, the storm came, literal and otherwise. Rain hammered against the windows as thunder rolled across the sky. I sat in my kitchen, tea gone cold, when headlights flashed outside. Her car. She came in without knocking, soaked, her face pale and desperate. Mom, we need to talk. I stood by the sink, silent. They told me you revoked your will, she said, voice shaking. You transferred everything to charity? I nodded once. Yes. She stared at me like I'd slapped her. Why would you do that? Because love shouldn't need paperwork, I said. And trust shouldn't need signatures. Tears streamed down her face. I didn't mean to hurt you. I just wanted to make sure things were secure. For when you're gone. I stepped closer, my voice low. Then maybe start by not erasing me while I'm still here. She looked at me for a long moment, searching for forgiveness again. But this time, I had none left to give. She turned and left without another word. Weeks passed. We didn't speak. Then one morning, a small box arrived at my doorstep. Inside was a folded letter in Danielle's handwriting. Mom, I've withdrawn everything. The will. The lawyers. All of it. I didn't realize how much I'd let fear replace love. You were right. This house is more than walls. It's you. If you ever decide to forgive me, I'll be waiting. Danielle. I folded the letter slowly, placed it in the drawer beside my bed. Outside, the sun was rising, soft and golden, like forgiveness itself. I whispered to the empty room, maybe not today, but someday. And for the first time in months, I felt peace, the kind that comes not from getting back what's lost, but from letting go of what tried to take it.